Alexei covered his ears with his hands, but the sounds continued to penetrate directly into his head. Suddenly, all the shadows stopped. They stood in a semicircle, giving Alexei no way to retreat, and then they began to slowly back away, letting someone or something forward. A tall man in ragged clothes emerged from the forest. His face was gray, as if dead, and his eyes were as deep as the abyss. An ancient key, covered in rust, dangled from his belt. "You have come for answers," he said in a muffled voice, "but to understand the truth, you must go down into the depths." "Where?" Alexei whispered, feeling his whole body tremble. "To the lake. Only there you will find out why souls do not find peace here." The man threw the key at his feet. Alexei hesitated to pick it up, but the feeling that he had no other choice made him do so. As soon as he took the key in his hand, the world around him changed. The forest had disappeared. Now he was standing on a wooden boat in the middle of the lake. The water was black as night, and the boat shook under his weight. The key in his hand seemed to be leading him, pulling him down. "Come down," whispered the voices. Alexei looked into the water. The depths called to him, attracted him. He knew that if he jumped, there would be no turning back. But he had no choice. Clutching the key, he closed his eyes and stepped forward. Alexei felt the cold water against his body. It was thick as butter, and the plunge seemed endless. His ears rumbled and his lungs screamed for air. But strangely, he didn't gasp for breath. The lake itself seemed to keep him alive, keeping him from drowning. When he opened his eyes, a strange, otherworldly world opened before him. The lake bed was not deserted as he had expected. Beneath his feet stretched ruins, the remains of an ancient city that seemed long forgotten. The facets of the ancient buildings were covered with glowing symbols that resembled writings of unknown origin. The key he held trembled, as if it wanted to point the way. Alexei moved forward, treading the soft sand until he reached the central square. There, in the center, stood a massive stone altar covered in rune inscriptions. "You have found us," the voices sounded again, but now they came not from the water, but from somewhere inside him. Alexei approached the altar and saw that there was a round cutout in its center, perfect for a key. "Is this a trap?" he squeezed out, his voice sounding muffled in the water. There was no answer, but figures began to appear around him. The same shadows that had surrounded him on the shore now materialized in the form of men. Their faces were blank, but their movements spoke of desperation. "You must free us," said one of them, holding out his hands to Alexei. "Only you can break the curse." Alexei, not knowing what to do, slowly inserted the key into the cutout on the altar. As soon as he turned it, the space around him lit up with a bright light. The altar moved, and a stream of energy burst out of it, rushing deep into the ruins. The figures began to disappear one by one.